So in the previous video, we saw how easy it is to crack a web key in a busy network. So we had a busy network, we had a client that was watching videos all the time, and we saw how the data was increasing very quickly. Now, the question is, or the problem that we're going to face, is an access point that doesn't have any clients connected to it, or an access point that has a client connected to it, but he's not using the internet as heavy as we saw in the previous video. Maybe just reading articles or just going on Facebook or whatever, but not using as much data as we saw last time. So let me just show you an example of that. I'm just going to run arrow dump against the target access point, the test AP, just to have a look on an idle access point. So we have test AP now, the same access point that we used before. The only difference is that I've disconnected the device that was connected. And you can see here in the second area, the clients area, that there is no clients connected. And you can see the data is 0 and didn't even go to 1. So that's going to be a problem that we're going to face. We won't be able to crack the key like this with 0 data. So what we can do is we can inject packets into the traffic. When we inject packets into the traffic, we can force the AP to create new packets with new IV in them. We capture that IV and we do that again. That's the basic case that what we're going to do. We're going to explain 3 methods of doing this. We're going to explain them in detail in the next videos. So for now, we're just having a quick look on how packet injection is going to work. But before we can inject packets into the air, we have to authenticate our device with the target access point. See, the way that access points work, they have a list of all the devices that are connected to them. And they ignore any packet that comes from a device that is not connected to them. So if a device that doesn't have the key tries to send a packet to your router will just ignore it. It won't even try to read it or see what's in there. So before we can inject packets to the router, we're going to have to authenticate ourselves with the router. We're going to use a method called fake authentication. It's very simple. We're going to have to do it before every time we try to inject. I'm going to explain it now, and then in the future we're just going to run the command straight away. So I have arrow dump already running now. Let's see how we can fake authenticate ourselves. Remember when I talked about arrow dump and we reached the auth, I said this is the type of authentication, and I said I'll come back for it later. So you see now the auth there's nothing here. Once we do the fake authentication, you're gonna see an OPN showing up here, which means we've successfully fake authenticated our device with the target access point. So to do this, we're gonna use AirPlayNG. We're gonna use a fake auth attack. So we put the type of attack, and then we're gonna put the type of the number of packets that we want to send. So I'm just gonna do 0. Some people use a large number when they have when they're carrying attack that'll take like 5 or 10 minutes. But for me, I like to just use 0 and maybe do it later manually. So fake auth 0. We're gonna use the option A, the target MAC address. So I'm just gonna copy it from here and I'll paste it. That's done. We're going to use H to put our MAC address so that our MAC address gets authenticated with the target network. So to get our MAC address, we're just going to run the command ifconfig LAN 0, and that's my MAC address. So I'm just going to copy it. LAN 0 is the name of my Wi-Fi card. You can put Mon 0 because they're the same card, so they have the same MAC address. I'm gonna paste it here, and then I'll put the name of my Wi-Fi card, Mon 0. So AirPlayNG, the type of attack that we're trying to do a fake authentication attack to authenticate our MAC address so that we can inject packets into the target network. we're gonna send 0, which means one, do it once. And then A, we put the MAC address of the access point, and then H, we put the MAC address of the device that we want to do a fake authentication to, and that's my own wireless card. And then mon0, name of the Wi-Fi card, and then I'm gonna hit enter. And as you can see, it said an authentication request, and it was successful, and association is successful now. So, and you can see here in the auth, it became an open network, and our client, this is my attacking device, showed up as if it's a client connected to the network. We're actually not connected, but we are authenticated with the network, and we have associated with the network, so we can inject packets into this access point now, because it will receive any request that we send it now. It's not gonna ignore our requests. In the next videos, we're gonna see how we can inject packets into the air and how we're gonna make this data go up very, very quickly.